Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wa sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammadin wa alihi at-tahirin. We are continuing our lessons called Arabic Quranic Reading, and we're on lesson 11. And in this lesson, there are some grammar topics, some sarf topics, and some balagha topics that are discussed. So the next thing, because we're talking about balagha, the next thing that we are going to talk about is something called Al-Kinayah. Al-Kinayah literally means to use indirect expression, what we call allusion, not illusion, allusion. It's an indirect expression. Hence, it means to allude or express indirectly. That's literally, in a literal meaning, al-kinaya means this. And also al-kunya, the kunya, like when we say Abu Muhammad, Abu Abdullah, these are kunyas. This is also derived from this word that kinaya is from. In Lisan al-Arab, the famous dictionary that if you study in the dictionary studies, this is a very important resource, one of the important resources to look into, Lisan al-Arab. In Lisan al-Arab, in Lisan al-Arab, it states when you say something, in Lisan al-Arab, it states when you say something, but you intend something other than it. That's what kinaya is. When you say something and you intend something other than it. It carries over here two meanings. It carries a real meaning and a metaphorical meaning then. So it has two meanings, this word. So you say something, but it intends something other than it. So Lisan al-Arab says when you say something, kinaya is when you say something, but you intend something other than it. So we could say then that this kinaya has two meanings, a real meaning and a metaphorical meaning then. There are actually three broad categories of kinaya, but here we could look at it from two different types of kinaya. These are the kinaya related to sifa, attributes. We have one that is qarib and one that is ba'id. We have the near sifa, the qarib, and here it is not in need of any intermediary, anything in between it to get to the intended meaning. Hence, what happens when this type of kinaya is used is that when the listener hears it, the meaning, this kinaya, indirect expression or this allusion, this intention of intended something other than it would reach the mind without any thought process. So would reach the mind without any thinking. As for the ba'id type, the far type, it's reaching here, the far attribute is the far type sifa, the attribute, far attribute, is when the reaching the meaning is used with an intermediary, which the mind would travel to from what is said to what is meant. So the near, you don't need to think about it. You don't need an intermediary between it and getting the meaning. As for the ba'id, you need an intermediary which helps the mind to get to the intended meaning. Kinaya also requires a contextual understanding of the phrase which is used. So certain communities, maybe even certain times, they will differ in their understanding. Maybe a phrase in English would make sense to those who understand the kinaya of it, but in somewhere else in the world, in China or something, if you were to translate it, it wouldn't make any sense. So kinaya requires the contextual understanding of the phrase, as well that it is kinaya between those speaking it and those speaking it went so as well is that it is kinaya between those speaking it and the different people hearing it, so it varies in different societies. Example is that we say in English, it is not my cup of tea. So it is not my cup of tea is an example of kinaya. if maybe you were to translate this into another culture, into a different language, they would think this is not your literal cup of tea. But in English, we use it for this is something I don't like, I dislike. So kinaya then is an implied indication, and it has been used many times when you want to directly indicate. So kinaya then is an implied indication, and it can be used when you don't want to directly indicate something. So you may, because if you directly indicate something, you may be actually disrespectful, or you may cause an offense, or you may be less respectful. Over here, the kinaya may be more effective or appropriate. So if you use some kind of balaga to get the meaning across. An example of kinaya is kathiru al-ramad. Kathiru ramad. This literally is abundance of ashes. Here it means the one who is feeding the poor a lot. So there is a lot of ashes from cooking in the house so that the poor could be fed a lot. So he's called kathiru al-ramad. Abundance of ashes is a kinaya. Now there are three, like I said, three broad categories of kinaya. The first is that which indicates a sifa, like mentioned before, kathiru ramad. The second is that which indicates mawsuf, the described one. A person with two faces is evil. The meaning of two-faced is munafiq, is a munafiq. So this type of kinaya indicates the mawsuf. The third is that which indicates a relation, a nisbah, which is either relating to one of the previous sifa or mawsuf. So we could say then that there are three broad categories of kinaya. That which indicates a sifa, like kathiru ramad. That which indicates mawsuf, like this person, a person is two-faced, meaning is munafiq. And that which indicates a relation, which is either relating to one of the previous sifa or mawsuf. So again, kinaya is when you use a community, a contextual understanding for another meaning. You use it for a meaning other than what its literal meaning is. You use it for an intended meaning which is other than it. Like if you were to say kathiru ramad, the abundance of ashes. So that is everything for this lesson. Wa akhiru da'wana and alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.